"Move aside. You're blocking real guests." The words cut through the Chicago hotel lobby at 8:47 a.m. Janet freezes, her cleaning cart still in her hands. Polished marble floors reflect the crowd gathering near the front desk. A tall man in a dark suit stands inches from her. Expensive watch. Cold eyes. He lets out a short laugh. "You people always stand in the way," he says, loud enough for others to hear. A few guests turn. A receptionist looks down. Janet doesn't move. He steps closer. "Did you hear me?" She lifts her eyes slowly. Calm. Steady. The man smirks, shaking his head. "Invisible. That's what you are." Janet's grip tightens on the cart. Then she takes one small step forward and says something no one expects. "Viktor Sokolov. You still talk like no one can touch you." Before the story continues, let me greet you. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Stories like this travel across many cities and many lives. So before we begin, take a second and tell me where you are watching from. I enjoy seeing how far our community reaches. If you enjoy powerful stories about choices, relationships, and life lessons, please subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the next one. The name lands hard. The man's smirk drops. Viktor Sokolov remains. His eyes lock on Janet's face, searching fast, sharp, like he just heard something impossible. A guest nearby whispers, "Did she just say his name?" At 8:48 a.m., the lobby noise fades into a low hush. Viktor straightens his jacket. "You're mistaken," he says, voice tight. "I don't know you." Janet steps closer, stopping just outside his space. "You knew me once," she says quietly. A receptionist glances up now. Two staff members pause mid-step. Viktor lets out a short laugh again, forced this time. "This is ridiculous." Janet tilts her head. "Is it?" He lowers his voice. "Careful." She doesn't blink. Instead, she says one more line, softer, sharper, a detail no cleaner should know, and Viktor's hand tightens at his side. What did she just remind him of? South Michigan Avenue. Winter. 2 in the morning. The words hit like a sudden drop. Viktor's breath catches. Just for a second, Janet watches him closely. No rush, no fear. A man near the concierge desk leans in, trying to hear. Viktor steps forward, lowering his voice. "Stop." Janet doesn't. "You were alone," she continues, steady, bleeding. "You couldn't even stand." His jaw tightens. "Enough." A guest pulls out a phone now, recording. The receptionist looks between them, unsure. Janet's eyes stay locked on his. "I stayed," she says. "You didn't." Silence spreads wider across the lobby. Viktor glances around. People are watching now, listening. His control starts slipping through small cracks. "You think this is smart?" he says, low, sharp. Janet takes one more step closer. "I think you remember." He leans in, voice cold. "Say another word, and you're done here." Janet doesn't step back. Instead, she lifts her chin slightly and reveals the one thing he hoped no one would ever hear. What is she about to say? "You begged me not to call anyone." The sentence cuts clean. Viktor's face drains. Just for a second, then he forces it back. A woman near the entrance gasps. Someone else whispers, "What is going on?" Janet doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. "You said your name would destroy everything," she continues. Viktor steps in fast, too close now. That's enough. Security at the far end turns their heads. Janet holds her ground. "You couldn't even hold your phone," she says. "Your hands were shaking." His voice drops lower. "Stop talking." A phone camera lifts higher, recording everything. The lobby feels tight, pressured. Janet leans in just enough for only him to hear. "But you promised something that night." Viktor's eyes flicker. For the first time, there's fear. "What promise?" Someone whispers behind them. Janet straightens, looking right at him, and says the one line that changes everything. "You said, if I stayed, you would never forget me." The lobby goes silent. Viktor doesn't speak. For a long second, he just stares at her. No denial, no laugh this time. A guest near the desk whispers, He knows her. Janet lets the silence sit. She doesn't rush it. You walked away the next morning, she adds, like I didn't exist. Victor exhales slowly, eyes scanning the room. Too many people watching now. Too many phones raised. At 8:52 a.m., everything feels exposed. He adjusts his cuff, forcing control back into his posture. You're making a mistake, he says, voice low, measured. Janet shakes her head once. No, she replies. You did. A pause. Then Victor steps even closer. Close enough that no one else can hear his next words. His voice drops into something colder. Dangerous. You should have stayed invisible. Janet doesn't move, but something shifts in her eyes. What is she about to do next? 2 years earlier. Hey, are you okay? Janet's voice cuts through the cold air at 2:13 a.m. on South Michigan Avenue. A man leans against a black car, breathing hard. Snow sticks to his coat. One hand presses tight against his side. Blood. Janet drops her cleaning bag on the sidewalk and steps closer. Don't come near me, he says, sharp, strained. She ignores him. You're hurt. He tries to stand straight, fails, and grips the car door. I said leave. Streetlights flicker above them. The road is empty. No cars, no people. Janet glances around once. No help coming. You need a hospital, she says. No hospital, he snaps. His voice carries authority, even through pain. Janet studies his face now. Young, expensive coat. Wrong place at this hour. Then what do you want? She asks. He looks at her, eyes hard. Nothing, he says. But his hand slips, and more blood stains the snow. Why is he refusing help? Janet steps closer anyway. Hold still, she says, reaching for his arm. He jerks back. Don't touch me. Too late. Her hand steadies him, as his balance gives out again. His weight drops slightly against her. You're going to fall, she says. I don't fall, he snaps, but his voice weakens. A black car door hangs open behind him. Engine off. Lights dead. Janet glances inside. No driver. No one else. You came here alone? She asks. He doesn't answer. Instead, he digs into his coat pocket, pulling out a phone. His hands shake. He tries to unlock it. Fails. The phone slips, hitting the pavement. Janet picks it up fast. No, he says, reaching. Give it back. She doesn't. You can't even hold this, she says. His jaw tightens. You don't understand. Janet looks at the screen. Locked. She looks back at him. Then explain, she says. He stares at her, and for the first time, hesitation shows. What is he hiding? Someone's looking for me, he says. Janet doesn't move. Who? She asks. He shakes his head once. Not your problem. His breathing gets heavier. He presses harder against his side. More blood seeps through his fingers. Janet steps closer again. You're losing too much. I'll manage, he says. You're not managing, she replies. He looks past her, scanning the empty street. Every shadow, every corner. Did anyone follow you? She asks. His eyes snap back to hers. No, too fast. Janet notices. You're lying, she says. I don't lie, he answers. Another pause. His knees buckle slightly this time. Janet catches his arm before he drops. You need help, she says again. No hospital, he repeats, weaker now. Janet exhales slowly, thinking, if not a hospital, then where? He studies her face, measuring. Then he leans closer, voice low. You help me. And you say nothing. Janet doesn't answer right away. What is she about to agree to? Janet looks at the blood again, then at his face. Fine, she says. But you listen to me. He gives a short nod. No argument left. She wraps his arm over her shoulder and steadies him. His weight leans heavy, uneven. Walk, she says. They move off the street, step by step, toward a narrow alley behind a closed cafe. At 2:19 a.m., the city feels distant. Just wind and their footsteps. Janet pushes open the back door. Unlocked. Inside, dim light. Empty tables. Cleaning supplies stacked near the sink. She guides him to a chair. Sit. He drops into it, breathing hard. Janet grabs a towel, runs water, presses it against his side. He flinches. Careful. Stay still, she says. She works fast. Focused. He watches her now. Not the room, not the door. Her. Why are you helping me? He asks. Janet doesn't look up. Because no one else is here. He studies her. Like he's deciding something. What choice is he about to make? He reaches into his coat again. This time, slower. Janet watches his hand closely. No sudden moves, she says. He gives a faint, tired breath. Not quite a laugh. Then he pulls out a small leather wallet. Opens it. Stacks of cash. He slides it across the table toward her. Take it, he says. And forget this night. Janet doesn't touch it. I'm not here for your money, she replies. His eyes narrow slightly. Studying her again. Everyone is, he says. She shakes her head once. Not me. Silence fills the small room. Water drips from the towel onto the floor. He leans back, weaker now, but still holding control in his voice. You don't know who I am, he says. Janet finally looks up. Then tell me, she says. Another pause. Then he says it. Viktor Sokolov. The name sits heavy between them. Janet doesn't react, but she notices something else. A ring on his finger, marked, what does that symbol mean? Everyone here is replaceable. Remember that. Victor's voice cuts through the Chicago boardroom at 9:02 a.m. No one speaks. A junior analyst stands frozen near the screen, hands shaking slightly. I can fix the numbers, he says. Victor doesn't look at him. He flips a page slowly. You had one job, Victor replies. One. Silence tightens across the room. The analyst swallows. Sir, out, Victor says. Just one word. The man doesn't move at first. Victor finally looks up. Cold. Direct. Do you need me to repeat myself? The chair scrapes fast as the analyst rushes out. No one meets Victor's eyes. At 9:04 a.m., control is clear. Total. Victor adjusts his cuff. Calm again, like nothing happened. Continue, he says. The presentation resumes. Voice is lower now. Careful. Measured. No mistakes. Outside the glass walls, staff move quickly, avoiding attention. And down the hallway, a cleaning cart stops for a second. Janet looks up and sees him for the first time again. Does he recognize her? Janet lowers her gaze before he turns. The cart rolls forward again, slow, controlled. Inside the boardroom, Victor stands now. Next slide, he says. A senior manager steps in quickly, voice tight. Revenue projections? Wrong. Victor cuts in. The man freezes. You're still using last quarter's assumptions, Victor continues. Fix it. Yes, sir. No argument. No delay. Outside, Janet wipes the glass wall, careful not to look inside again. But she hears everything. Every tone, every pause. Victor moves closer to the screen. If you can't keep up, you don't belong here. A woman near the table nods too fast. Understood. Janet's hand slows for a second. Same voice, same control, but stronger now, sharper. Inside, Victor glances toward the glass. Just for a moment, Janet turns slightly, back facing him. Still, silent. He looks away. Meeting continues. Janet exhales once. He didn't stop. He didn't look twice, but something feels off. Did he notice her? Or not? Who approved this? Victor asks. A stack of reports hits the table. No one answers. He looks around the room, slow, deliberate. You, he points. A woman shifts in her seat. I reviewed it, yes. Then you missed 3 errors, Victor says. Basic ones. Her face tightens. I'll correct. You should have corrected it before this meeting, he cuts in. Silence again. At 9:11 a.m., pressure builds. The woman nods, eyes down. Understood. Victor leans back slightly. Understanding isn't the problem. Execution is. Outside, Janet pauses near the door. She hears the tone. Cold, measured. The same voice from that night. Different weight now. Inside, Victor continues. If I have to repeat myself, you won't be here next week. A pen drops somewhere on the table. No one picks it up. Janet steps away from the door, but she stops again, because she hears something else. His name, said quietly, by someone behind her. Who else knows him here? Mr. Sokolov doesn't like delays. Janet turns. A middle-aged staff member stands behind her, arms folded. He notices everything, the woman adds. Janet nods once. I see that. The woman leans closer. You're new, right? Yes. Then keep your head down, she says. And don't get in his way. Janet glances toward the glass wall again. Inside, Victor stands at the head of the table. Controlled. Untouchable. He built all this in 3 years, the woman continues. No mistakes. No second chances. Janet says nothing, but her eyes stay on him. The woman lowers her voice. People don't last long around him. A pause, then she walks off. Janet grips the handle of her cart. Inside, Victor checks his watch. Meeting ending. Chairs move fast. Papers gather. Doors open. Janet turns away quickly, but footsteps approach. Closer, measured. She keeps her back turned. Cleaning the same spot twice now. The door opens wider, and someone steps out. Is it him? Excuse me. The voice comes from her right. Not him. Janet turns slightly. A junior staff member steps past her, rushing down the hall. She exhales once. Small, controlled. Behind her, heavier footsteps follow. Slower, measured. Janet keeps wiping the glass. Same motion, same spot. The boardroom door swings wider. Victor steps out. Up close now, his presence feels sharper. 2 assistants trail behind him, speaking fast. Your 10 a.m. call is ready, one says. Move it, Victor replies. He walks past Janet without stopping. Close enough for her to catch the faint scent of his cologne. Close enough to see the same ring, marked. Her hand pauses for half a second. Victor doesn't look at her, not once. He keeps walking, control intact, untouched. Janet watches his reflection in the glass as he disappears down the hall. No recognition, no hesitation, nothing. But something inside her tightens. He walked past her like a stranger. So why does that feel worse than before? Hold the elevator. Janet presses the button at 10:26 a.m. The doors slide open. She steps in, pushing her cart halfway through before stopping. Footsteps rush closer behind her. Fast. Wait. She freezes. Victor steps in beside her. Too close. The doors close. Silence. The elevator starts moving. Janet keeps her eyes forward, hands steady on the cart. Victor checks his phone, unbothered. Next time, don't block the entrance, he says without looking up. His voice is flat, dismissive. Janet doesn't respond. The elevator hums as it rises. Floor numbers blink above them. Victor glances at her reflection in the metal panel. Just a second. Janet notices, but doesn't turn. He looks back at his phone, like it means nothing. Which floor? He asks. Service level, she replies. Short, calm. He nods once. No recognition, no pause. But Janet's grip tightens slightly. He stood this close before. He heard her voice before. So why doesn't he react now? The elevator slows. Hold it, a voice calls. The doors reopen. 2 executives step in, talking fast. Investor call moved to noon, one says. Victor doesn't look up. Reschedule. Already did. They notice Janet. Go quiet. The space tightens. Janet shifts her cart back an inch. Metal rattles. Victor glances up, irritated. Careful. She nods once. Yes, sir. The word lands. His eyes lift to her face for a fraction longer. Janet keeps her gaze on the floor numbers. 17. Osmnacht. One executive whispers, that cleaner's new. The other replies, keep distance. Victor hears, says nothing. Janet reaches for the control panel. Her sleeve slides back. A thin scar crosses her wrist. Old, faint. Victor's gaze drops to it. Then up again. A flicker. Gone. Which stop? He asks. Service, she says. Again. Short. Familiar. The elevator dings. Doors open. Janet moves first. Victor watches her step out. Just long enough. Then the doors begin to close. Why does that detail bother him now? Did you see that? One executive whispers. Victor steps out at the next floor. He doesn't answer, but his pace slows. See what? The other asks. The cleaner. She didn't flinch. Victor keeps walking. Irrelevant. But the word comes too fast. Too sharp. Behind him, they exchange a look. Victor adjusts his cuff. Same motion. Controlled, yet his eyes shift once. Back toward the elevator. Empty now. At 10:31 a.m., something lingers. A detail he can't place. He steps into his office. Glass walls. City view. Silence. Cancel the noon call, he says. His assistant hesitates. Sir? Do it. She nods quickly. Yes. Door closes. Victor stands still. Just for a second. Then he pulls out his phone. Stops. His hand lowers. Instead, he turns toward the window. Chicago stretches below, but his focus isn't there. It's on a voice, a tone, a moment. Why does it feel familiar? Hey, you didn't hear this from me. Janet pauses near the service hallway sink at 10:44 a.m. Two housekeepers stand nearby, voices low. He wasn't always like this, one says. Janet keeps rinsing a cloth, listening. What do you mean? The other asks. Before Chicago, something happened. No one knows details. Janet's hand slows slightly. They say he disappeared for a night. Came back different. Janet looks down at the water. Cold, steady. The first woman leans closer. After that, he stopped trusting anyone. A pause. Now he controls everything. Janet wrings the cloth once, harder than needed. The second woman glances toward the hallway. Still. People say he owes someone. Janet looks up. Owes who? She asks. They both turn, surprised she spoke. The first woman shrugs. No idea. Just rumors. Footsteps approach again. Sharp, familiar. The women straighten fast and walk off. Janet stands still, listening. The steps stop right behind her. Closer than before. Is he about to speak to her now? Turn around. Victor's voice is low, direct, right behind her. Janet doesn't rush. She sets the cloth down, slow, then turns. They face each other, closer than before. No glass, no distance. Victor studies her face now, longer this time, not casual, focused. Have we met? He asks. Janet holds his gaze. Steady. No, she says. A lie. Clean. Simple. His eyes narrow slightly. At 10:46 a.m., the hallway feels tight. Your voice, he says. The hallway feels tight. Your voice, he says. It's familiar. Janet shrugs lightly. I work here. That's not what I asked. Silence. A cart rolls in the distance. Faint noise. Janet steps to the side, reaching for her supplies. Excuse me, she says. Victor doesn't move, blocking her path. Look at me, he says. She does. No hesitation, no fear. Just calm. For a second, neither speaks. Then Victor leans closer, like he's about to remember, or about to decide something. What will he do next? Say it. Victor's voice is quiet now. Controlled. Janet doesn't answer. They stand inches apart in the service hallway at 10:47 a.m. You started something, he says. Finish it. Janet studies his face, looking for it. Any sign he remembers. There's a flicker, but not enough. She steps back once, breaking the distance. There's nothing to say, she replies. Another lie. Victor watches her closely. You're lying. Janet shrugs lightly. Then prove it. Silence. A test. Victor doesn't move. Doesn't push further. Instead, he steps aside. Just enough. Get back to work, he says. Like it's over. Like he's already decided she doesn't matter. Janet walks past him without looking back. But her pace slows after a few steps. Because she hears him say something, under his breath. Soft. Almost to himself. South Michigan. Janet stops, just for a second, then keeps walking. He's closer than she thought. So what does she do now? Janet doesn't go back to the hallway. She turns into the storage room instead. Door closes behind her at 10:52 a.m. Silence. For the first time, she stops moving. Her hand grips the edge of a metal shelf. Tight. He remembers, she says under her breath. Not everything, but enough. She exhales slowly, steadying herself, then reaches into her pocket, pulls out something small, wrapped in cloth. Careful, she unwraps it halfway. The object catches the light, the same one from that night. She stares at it, then closes her hand around it again. No more waiting, she says. A decision. Clear. She slips it back into her pocket, straightens her posture, wipes her hands. The door opens. Noise returns. Work continues outside. Janet steps out. Different now. Focused. Controlled. As she walks down the hallway, a large screen catches her eye. An announcement flashes. Tonight, private event. High-level guests. Hosted by Viktor Sokolov. Janet slows. This is the moment. But how far is she willing to go? Mandatory staff, assigned for tonight's event. The announcement scrolls again across the screen. Janet steps closer. Her name appears on the list. Service team, ballroom level. Time, 7:30 p.m. She exhales once. No coincidence. A supervisor walks up beside her. You're on late shift tonight. Janet nods. I profile guests. No mistakes, the woman adds. Janet's eyes stay on the screen. Victor's name sits at the top. Host, control, power. All staff stay invisible, the supervisor continues. You don't speak unless spoken to. Janet glances at her. Understood. Another rule. Another line. Janet turns away from the screen, walks down the corridor. Her pace steady now, not rushed, not uncertain. Inside her pocket, her fingers press lightly against the object. Still there, still real. At 11:03 a.m., the plan begins to form, not loud, not reckless, precise. Tonight changes something, but what exactly is she planning to do? Janet, you're on glass detail tonight. The supervisor hands her a tablet at 11:18 a.m. Ballroom entrance, upper level. Janet scans the layout. Elevated view. Clear line to the main floor. To Victor. To avoid mistakes, the supervisor adds. Janet nods. I won't. Good. He notices everything. Janet signs off on the assignment. Control stays in her hands now. She walks toward the locker room. Door shuts behind her. Quiet again. She pulls out the object, unwraps it fully, this time. A ring, not hers, marked with the same symbol on Victor's finger. Her thumb traces the edge. Memory hits. Snow. Blood. His voice. Don't call anyone. Janet closes her hand. Tight. She looks at her reflection in the mirror. Calm face. Steady eyes. No hesitation now. She slips the ring back into her pocket. Decision made. Not about revenge, about truth, about being seen. Tonight, she won't stay invisible. But what will she reveal first? Doors open at 7:30 sharp. No delays. The supervisor's voice echoes across the ballroom at 6:58 p.m. Janet stands at the upper glass level, cloth in hand. Below, the room fills fast. Black suits, long dresses, low voices. Chicago's elite. At the center, Victor speaks with investors, calm, in control, untouchable. Janet watches from above, every movement, every gesture. At 7:12 p.m., a staff member steps beside her. Big night, he says. Janet nods once. For him, the man glances down. He built this from nothing. Janet says nothing. Her hand slips into her pocket. Fingers brush the ring. Cold, real. The doors close. Music shifts. Lights dim slightly. At 7:30 p.m., the event begins. Victor steps forward to speak. Applause rises. Janet looks down at him. No fear now, only focus. This is the moment she chose. The line she won't step back from. But when she moves, what happens to him next? Tonight decides everything. Victor's voice carries across the ballroom at 7:34 p.m. Applause fades. Investors watch him closely. Janet stands above, wiping the glass, eyes fixed on him. You want results? Victor continues. You'll have them. A man near the front raises a hand. And the risk? Victor doesn't hesitate. Controlled. Another investor leans forward. You said that last quarter. Tension shifts. Small. Sharp. Victor steps down from the stage. Walk with me. They move through the crowd. Closer to Janet's position. She tracks every step. Every word. Your numbers don't match projections, the investor presses. They will, Victor replies. Janet moves along the upper level, keeping pace above them. Cloth in hand, eyes steady. Below, Victor's jaw tightens slightly. First crack. Confidence isn't data, the investor says. Victor stops walking. Turns, then watch closely, he says. Janet pauses above him. Direct line of sight. Too close now. If he looks up, will he finally see her? Victor tilts his head slightly. Not up, but close. Janet steps back from the glass. Just enough. Below, the investor presses again. We need proof tonight. You'll have it, Victor replies. Or, we pull out. The words hang heavy. At 7:38 p.m., the stakes rise. A second investor joins in. Too many promises. Not enough delivery. Victor's expression hardens. You're still here. For now, the man answers. Silence. Guests nearby pretend not to listen. But they are. Janet moves along the upper level again. Her path brings her closer to the staircase. Down to the main floor. Closer to him. Below, Victor adjusts his cuff. Same motion. Controlled. But slower this time. Pressure shows in small ways. His assistant steps in. Sir, media requests. Not now. Victor cuts in. Janet reaches the top of the stairs. Pauses. Looks down. One step changes everything. If she walks down, does she expose him now? Janet takes the first step. Slow. Measured. The music softens as she descends at 7:41 p.m. Guests move around her, unaware. Below, Victor turns slightly, shifting away from the investors. 5 minutes, he tells his assistant. I'll handle it. His voice stays firm, but his eyes scan the room now. Searching, Janet continues down. Second step. Third. Closer. A waiter passes her, nearly brushing her shoulder. Careful, he mutters. She doesn't respond. Her focus stays on Victor. He moves toward the bar area, away from the stage, away from the crowd center. Janet adjusts her pace, matching him. Distance closing. A woman approaches Victor. We need to talk. Later, he says, dismissing her. His patience is thinner now, edges sharper. Janet reaches the final step. Main floor, no barrier left, just space, and people, and him. Victor turns again. This time, his eyes lift slightly, toward her direction, closer than before. Is this the moment he finally sees her? Their eyes almost meet. Almost. A guest steps between them. Mr. Sokolov, quick word, the man says. Victor shifts his focus. Make it quick. Janet stops 2 steps away. Close enough to hear. Your partners are concerned, the guest says. They want guarantees. They have them, Victor replies. Not written. Victor's jaw tightens. Then we write. Janet moves slightly to the side. Clear line again. No one blocking her now. She studies his face, looking for doubt, for memory. Victor senses movement. His eyes turn, locking onto her. For a second, longer this time, Janet doesn't look away, doesn't move, just stands there, holding his gaze. Recognition flickers, small, unstable. Victor's voice lowers. Excuse me. He steps away from the guest, walks toward her, direct, focused. People shift around them, making space. Janet stays still, waiting. No retreat, no hesitation. Victor stops in front of her, closer than ever, and says her name. Or, at least, tries to. What is he about to call her? January? The name breaks halfway. Victor stops. His eyes sharpen. Janet. He says this time. Clear. The sound lands between them at 7:44 p.m. Guests nearby turn slightly. Not loud, but enough. Janet doesn't react. She just watches him. You remember, she says. Not a question. Victor exhales slowly. I remember enough, he replies. His voice stays low, controlled, but tighter now. You shouldn't be here, he adds. Janet tilts her head. I work here. That's not what I mean. Silence presses in. Music continues in the background. Soft, distant. Victor steps closer. You picked the wrong place. Janet doesn't move. No, she says. I picked the right time. A pause. Then Victor's expression shifts again. Calculation, risk, control slipping. He glances around. Too many people. Too many eyes. Then back at her. What do you want? He asks. Janet reaches into her pocket. Slow, deliberate, and starts to pull something out. What is she about to show him? Put that away. Victor's voice cuts sharp at 7:45 p.m. Janet stops mid-motion, her hand still half in her pocket. Guests, nearby, slow, watching. What is it? Victor adds, louder now. Attention shifts. More eyes turn. Janet keeps her voice calm. Something you lost. A mistake. Victor lets out a short laugh. Cold. Lost? He repeats. From you? A few guests chuckle. Pressure builds. Janet holds her ground. You don't remember everything, she says. Victor shakes his head, amused now. I remember enough to know this is inappropriate. His tone rises slightly. Public, now. Deliberate. Your staff, he continues. Act like it. A murmur moves through the room. Janet's jaw tightens, but she doesn't step back. Victor takes one step closer. Close enough for everyone to see. You clean floors, he says. You don't interrupt conversations. Pause. Look around. People watching. Phones lifting. Do you think he deserves what's coming? Janet exhales slowly and decides not to stay quiet. What will she say next? You asked for my help that night. Janet's voice cuts through the noise. Clear, steady. The room quiets. Victor's expression doesn't change at first. Then his eyes harden. I don't recall asking anything from you, he says. A lie. Sharp. Public. Janet takes one step forward. You couldn't stand, she continues. You couldn't even. Stop, Victor cuts in. Louder now. Heads turn fully. A woman whispers. What is she talking about? Janet doesn't stop. You said no hospital. She adds. You said. I said stop, Victor snaps. The music fades lower. Tension thickens. Victor looks around, forcing a small smile. Apologies, he says to the guests. She's confused. A few people nod. Uncomfortable. Janet's eyes lock on his. No, she says. You are. Silence hits harder this time. Victor's smile fades. His patience is gone. His voice drops again. Cold. You're crossing a line. Janet doesn't blink. You crossed it first. A pause. Then Victor laughs again. But this time, it sounds different. Why does he still deny her? Victor's laugh fades fast. Security, he says. 2 guards turn from the entrance. Start moving. Janet doesn't look at them. She keeps her eyes on him. You promised me, she says. The words land harder now. Closer. More personal. Victor's jaw tightens. Remove her. The guards close in. Guests step back. Phones rise higher. At 7:48 p.m., the room shifts from curiosity to spectacle. Janet takes one more step forward. You said you would never forget me, she continues. A guard reaches for her arm. Ma'am, you need to come with us. Janet pulls her arm back. Wait. Victor's eyes flicker. Recognition pushes through. Small. Unstable. Too late, he says. Janet's voice sharpens. You left me there. Silence. The words cut deeper. Victor's breath slows. For a second, everything pauses. Even the guards hesitate, because something in his face changes. Not anger, not control, something else. What did he just remember? Enough. Victor's voice drops low. The guards pause. Just for a second. Janet sees it. Let me finish, she says. Victor shakes his head slowly. No. Control slips. He steps closer again, closing the space. You're embarrassing yourself, he says. Louder now, for everyone. She wants attention, he adds, turning slightly to the crowd. A few guests nod. One man smirks. Pressure builds. Janet feels it. Eyes, judging, watching. Victor leans in closer. This ends now. Janet doesn't step back. Instead, she raises her voice. You were bleeding, she says. The words echo. Clear, public. The room stills. Victor's face tightens. Stop talking, he snaps. Janet continues. You couldn't even hold your phone. Security. Victor barks. The guards move faster now. Hands reaching again. Guests whisper louder. Phones recording everything. Janet lifts her chin. She's done waiting, done holding back. Victor laughs again, but it's forced, tight, like he's losing control. And Janet knows it. So why does he still try to silence her? Get her out. Victor's voice cuts through the room at 7:50 p.m. The guards grab Janet's arms. Firm, public. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Janet doesn't struggle. Not yet. Victor turns slightly, dismissing her. Like she's nothing again. Pathetic, he mutters. A few guests laugh under their breath. The moment sharpens. Janet lifts her voice. You begged me. The words stop everything. The guards freeze mid-step. Victor turns back fast. Eyes locked on her. You said don't call anyone, she continues. You said your name would ruin you. Silence crashes over the ballroom. No music now. No movement. Just her voice. Victor's face shifts. Control breaking. Cracks showing. Janet pulls one arm free, reaches into her pocket. The guards hesitate. No one moves. No one speaks. Janet pulls the object out, holds it up. Clear for everyone to see. Victor's breath catches, because he knows exactly what it is. But the crowd doesn't. What is she holding? A ring. Someone whispers. Janet holds it higher. Clear. Under the ballroom lights. Gold. Marked. The same symbol on Victor's hand. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Victor doesn't move. Not a step. Not a word. At 7:51 p.m., time slows. Recognize it? Janet asks. Her voice stays calm. Too calm. Victor's eyes lock onto the ring, then flick to his own hand. Same mark. Same cut. His breath tightens. Give it back, he says. Low. Urgent. Not for the crowd. For her. Janet tilts her head. You said it didn't matter. A lie breaks open. The room feels it. An investor steps closer. What is this? Victor doesn't answer. He can't. Janet takes one step forward. You left this with me, she says. The words land hard, direct, personal. Victor's face shifts. Memory pushes through. Fast, sharp, uncontrolled. And for the first time tonight, he looks afraid. What exactly does he remember now? Give me the ring. Victor's voice tightens. No control now. Janet doesn't move. You said your name would destroy everything, she says. The room reacts. Murmurs spread fast. What does she mean? Someone whispers. Victor steps closer. Enough. Janet lifts the ring higher. So why did you hide it? She asks. A man near the front frowns. Hide what? Victor ignores him. His focus stays on Janet. Sharp, locked. Put it down, he says. Not a command, a warning. Janet shakes her head. You were scared, she continues. Not of bleeding, not of dying. A pause. Guests lean in. Phone steady. You were scared of being seen, she finishes. Silence hits again. Heavy. Victor exhales slowly, but it's uneven now. Cracked. You don't understand, he says. Janet steps closer. I understand enough. His eyes flicker. Back to that night. Back to the street. Back to her. And something breaks deeper. What truth is he trying to keep hidden? I was being followed. Victor's voice cuts low. Not for the room. For her. Janet doesn't blink. By who? She asks. He shakes his head. You don't want that answer. A man steps closer. Mr. Sokolov, what is she talking about? Victor snaps. Nothing. Too fast. Too sharp. The room feels it. Janet takes another step forward. You said if anyone knew your name that night. She starts. Stop, Victor says. But it's weaker now. Less control. Janet doesn't stop. You said they would come for you, she continues. Gasps spread. A woman backs away slightly. Victor's eyes close for a second. Memory hits hard. Cold street. Blood. Fear. Then back to the ballroom. Lights. People. Exposure. He opens his eyes again. Different now. Not the man from before. Janet sees it. You weren't powerful that night, she says. Silence. Deep. Cutting. Victor exhales. Slow. Then looks at her. Really looks. Like he finally sees everything. So why does he still try to control this? Because you don't know what comes with it. Victor's voice steadies, but his eyes don't. Janet holds her ground. Then say it. A senior investor steps in. Mr. Sokolov. We need clarity. Now. Victor doesn't look at him. Not here, he says. Here, Janet replies. The word lands harder. Public. Irreversible. A woman near the front lifts her phone higher. Recording. Victor scans the room. Too many witnesses. Too late to contain. You think this is about a ring? He says. Janet raises it slightly. It started there. A pause. Then she adds, quieter. You told me your real name would ruin you. The room reacts again. Stronger this time. Your real name? Someone repeats. Victor's jaw tightens. Control slipping further. He looks at Janet, then at the crowd, then back at her. Decision point. His voice drops. Drop it, or you won't walk out of here safe. A threat. Clear. Public. Janet doesn't step back, doesn't lower the ring. So what does she do next? Janet lifts her chin. You're Victor Sokolov, she says. Clear. Loud. The name echoes across the ballroom at 7:55 p.m. Guests turn fully now. Investors step closer. Phones steady. No one pretends not to listen anymore. Janet takes one step forward. You said it like it was dangerous, she continues. Like saying it out loud would ruin you. A man near the front frowns. Why would a name ruin him? Victor doesn't answer. He can't. Janet raises the ring higher. You weren't hiding from pain, she says. You were hiding from who you are. The words hit harder, sharper. The room feels it. Victor's breath slows. His eyes darken. Recognition, fear, calculation, all at once. You should stop, he says quietly. Janet shakes her head. No. Silence stretches. Uncomfortable. Heavy. Then Victor looks around. At the crowd. At the phones. At everything closing in. And something shifts. Not collapse. Not yet. A decision. What is he about to reveal? You want the truth? Victor's voice cuts through the silence. No more hiding. No more deflection. Janet holds the ring steady. Yes, she says. The crowd leans in. At 7:56 p.m., everything hangs on what comes next. Victor exhales slowly, then speaks. I wasn't just injured that night, he says. A pause. Measured. I was running. Murmurs spread fast. From who? Someone asks. Victor ignores the question. My name isn't just a name, he continues. Janet watches him closely. Then what is it? She presses. Victor looks at her, then at the room. Decision made. It's tied to people you don't walk away from, he says. Silence hits again. Heavy. Real. An investor steps forward. What people? Victor doesn't answer directly. Instead, he looks back at Janet. You should have stayed out of it, he says. Janet doesn't flinch. You pulled me into it, she replies. A pause. Then she takes one step forward, ready to say more. What exactly will she reveal now? You were on the ground, Janet says. Her voice stays steady. No guards, no driver, no control. The room listens. Every word lands. You kept looking over your shoulder, she continues. Like someone was coming. A man near the front whispers, this is serious. Janet doesn't look at him. You told me not to call anyone, she adds. Not even an ambulance. Victor's jaw tightens. You said they would find you, she says. Silence presses in. Phones record everything. Janet lifts the ring slightly. You dropped this when you fell, she says. You didn't even notice. Victor exhales through his nose. Slow, controlled, trying. You said, if anyone knew your name. Janet continues. Oh, stop, Victor says. But it's quieter now. Weaker. Janet doesn't stop. You said they would come for you, she finishes. Gasps spread again. A woman steps back. An investor looks at Victor differently now. Not impressed. Not confident. Concerned. So what kind of man is he really? Answer her. An investor steps forward. Firm. Direct. Victor turns slowly. Eyes cold again. Trying to take control back. This is a misunderstanding, he says. A lie. Clear. Public. Janet steps closer. No, she says. It's not. The room shifts again. Sides forming. Then explain. The investor presses. Victor looks at him. You're overstepping. No, the man replies. We're exposed. That word hits harder. Exposed. Janet raises the ring again. You told me to hide it, she says. You said no one could see it. Victor's gaze snaps to her. Sharp. Dangerous. Put it down, he says. Janet doesn't. Instead, she steps into the center. Now everyone sees her. Not just staff. Not just background. Why hide something if it means nothing? She asks. Silence answers. Victor's control slips another inch. The investor folds his arms. Waiting. Watching. So does everyone else. Victor's next move matters now. What will he say? It marks affiliation. Victor's voice drops. No more denial. The word lands heavy. Affiliation with who? The investor asks. Victor doesn't answer. Janet steps closer. You said they don't let people leave. A ripple moves through the room. Victor's eyes flick to her. Warning. Too late. You were trying to disappear, Janet continues. You changed cities. Changed deals. A man near the bar mutters, Is this criminal? Victor turns. Careful. Threat. Clear. Janet lifts the ring again. Then why keep wearing it? Silence. Tight. Victor exhales. Because taking it off is a signal. To who? Someone presses. Victor doesn't look at them. He looks at Janet. If I take it off, he says, they come. Gasps. A woman steps back. Phones tilt closer. Janet's voice stays calm. Then you're still tied to them. Victor doesn't deny it. An investor shakes his head. You never disclose this. The room turns. From curiosity to risk. From interest to fear. So what happens to his empire now? That changes everything. The lead investor steps back. His voice is firm now. Final. We're pulling out, he says. The words land like a collapse. Murmurs turn into movement. People step away from Victor. Distance grows. Fast. At 8:01 p.m., power shifts. Victor doesn't move. Not yet. You're overreacting, he says. But his voice lacks weight. No, the investor replies. We're protecting ourselves. Others nod. Agreements spread. Phones lower now. Decisions made. Janet watches, not with anger, with clarity. Victor turns to her. You think this helps you? He asks. Janet holds his gaze. I'm not here to help you. A pause. Then Victor steps closer, lowering his voice. Then you just made yourself visible. The warning lands. Different now. Not about pride. About danger. Janet doesn't step back. But something shifts inside her. Because this isn't over, not even close. So what happens when those people find out? Everyone out. Victor's voice is quieter now, but it carries. Staff begin clearing the ballroom at 8:07 p.m. Guests leave in clusters. Fast. Low voices. Quick exits. No one stays close to him anymore. Distance replaces attention. Janet stands where she is, still holding the ring, watching. Within minutes, the room empties. Chairs shift. Glasses clear. Silence returns. Different from before. Heavier. Victor loosens his cuff slowly. The same motion, but slower now. Less certain. You made your point, he says, not looking at her. Janet steps forward once. I didn't come for a point, she replies. Victor exhales, long, then turns to face her fully. No audience now. No pressure from outside. Just them. You could have walked away, he says. Janet nods slightly. I tried. A pause. The distance between them feels different now. Not power. Not control. Something else. Unsettled. Real. Victor looks at the ring again, then at her, and asks the one thing he avoided all night. Why didn't you? Because you left me there. Janet's voice is steady. No anger. Just truth. Victor holds her gaze. You walked away, she continues, like I didn't exist. He looks down for a second, then back up. I thought that was safer, he says. For who? She asks. Silence answers. Janet steps closer, not to confront, to be heard. You asked me to stay, she says. I stayed. Victor's jaw tightens. You asked me not to call anyone, she adds. I didn't. A pause, and then you disappeared. The words land deeper now. No crowd, no noise, just consequence. Victor exhales slowly. I didn't forget, he says. Janet tilts her head. You didn't remember either. That hits. He doesn't respond right away. Instead, he looks at her differently, not as staff, not as a problem, as someone he owes. You risked something tonight, he says. Janet nods. So did you. A pause. Then Victor speaks again. What do you want from me? Nothing. Janet's answer comes fast, clear. Victor studies her. That's not true. It is, she says. She places the ring on the table between them. Soft. Final. I didn't come for money, she adds. Victor glances at it, then back at her. Then why do this? He asks. Janet exhales slowly. To be seen, she says. The words sit heavier than anything before. Victor doesn't interrupt. You made me invisible, she continues. Twice. A pause. But I'm not. Silence fills the space again. Different now. Not tense. Honest. Victor nods once. Small. Real. I see you, he says. Janet holds his gaze. Checking. Weighing. Then she steps back. Distance returns. But not the same kind. Not before. She picks up her cleaning cloth. Turns slightly. Ready to leave. Victor watches her. No command. No control. Just quiet. Then he speaks again. Low. Careful. What happens to me now? Nothing. Janet's answer comes fast. Clear. Victor studies her. That's not true. It is, she says. She places the ring on the table between them. Soft. Final. I didn't come for money, she adds. Victor glances at it, then back at her. Then why do this? He asks. Janet exhales slowly. To be seen, she says. The words sit heavier than anything before. Victor doesn't interrupt. You made me invisible, she continues. Twice. A pause. But I'm not. Silence fills the space again. Different now. Not tense. Honest. Victor nods once. Small. Real. I see you, he says. Janet holds his gaze. Checking. Weighing. Then she steps back. Distance returns. But not the same kind. Not before. She picks up her cleaning cloth. Turns slightly. Ready to leave. Victor watches her. No command. No control. Just quiet. Then he speaks again. Low. Careful. What happens to me now? That depends on you. Janet doesn't turn back. Her voice stays calm. Victor steps closer. They'll come. A warning. Not for control. For reality. Janet nods slightly. You already knew that. He exhales. Not like this. Silence stretches. The weight shifts again. From exposure to consequence. You could have said nothing, Victor adds. Janet finally turns halfway. I did that once, she says. A pause. Didn't help you, she continues. Didn't help me. The words don't need saying. Victor looks at the floor, then back at her. For the first time, there's no defense left. No strategy. Just truth. I was afraid, he admits. Janet watches him. No judgment. No reaction. Just listening. He nods once. I still am. Silence settles again. But it's different now. Honest. Victor looks at her like he's waiting, not for approval, for direction. Janet turns fully this time, and takes a step away. What choice will he make now? Janet walks toward the exit. Slow, steady, no one stops her. At 8:12 p.m., the ballroom stands nearly empty. Lights dim slightly. Chicago glows through the glass behind her. Victor stays where he is, watching, not calling her back, not ordering anything, just standing with what's left. Janet reaches the door, pauses, then speaks without turning. "Take it off," she says. Victor looks down at the ring on his hand. Marked, heavy, a signal, a risk. "You said that means something," she adds. "It does," he replies. Janet nods once, "Then decide who you are." A pause. She opens the door. Cold air slips in from outside. "Not who they made you," she says. "Who you choose to be." Then she steps out. Gone. Victor stands alone. Room quiet. Decision in his hand. He looks at the ring again. Long. Still. Then, slowly, he starts to pull it off. If you watch this far, what would you do in his place? Like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this.